Welcome to What's in the Works podcast, where we highlight people, projects, and progress happening right here at home in Northeast Louisiana. Today, we had the absolute honor and privilege to sit down with Mayor Friday Ellis for a really awesome conversation. Check it out. Well, look, again, thank you for coming on. We're excited to have you.
Yeah.
And the concept of this is we wanted to create a space where people locally could hear about things that are happening. We wanted to give local people and other businesses a platform to kind of talk about themselves. We didn't want to make like a roofing podcast or a podcast about us specifically. We wanted to give something back to say, like, we also want to learn. These are things we want to learn about, and we know these are questions we hear in the community, and so we appreciate you coming on and doing that with us.
Yeah, look,
cool.
I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak, because a lot of times we don't get this opportunity just to have these type of conversations. Usually I'm speaking about things or a specific thing when I go places, and so anytime I get to sit down with folks here in town to have a conversation and answer some questions, man, I'm up for it. And regardless of how many viewers or whatever, so Mom, be proud.
Yes,
he got the mayor on.
That's right.
So,
it's just my mom. I know my mom's watching, and he's here, so that's
very
great.
good.
Well, cool. And look, you've always been awesome. I'm really. I come from Alexandria, and so I'm coming here, and it's a similar community, and me and my family here, my wife and two kids, we moved here a few years ago, and man, I love the community here in Monroe. It is very community focused. There's a lot of stuff for like my kids to do. It just feels like a really cool place to raise kids. I've lived in Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Alexandria, Lake Charles, and like Monroe specifically seems like just really special to me. And so we love it here. We love being a part of this.
No,
It's
this
really
is
cool.
great. Yeah, it is a special place. I got a text message from a friend of mine I grew up with. I grew up in a little town, Rayville, right down the road, Ray Vegas, Raytown, or whatever you want to call it.
Vegas.
And Monroe was always the big city. And so it was the place where you would go and shop. There was a place you go and eat and hang out. And so it was always special to us. But I was sitting on a panel not too long ago, and I was talking about how, what we have is special, and relate a story about running into somebody who worked in corporate communication for Meta. And, just a random pop into Butter Bakery, and we just struck up a conversation. And she was like, Monroe is the place where everybody wants to come, or Richland Parish, or they want to come visit the site out there in Holly Ridge. Yeah. And she said the people here are just so amazing. And it's the culture here, the warmth of the people. And so my friend texted me this morning. He said, "Hey, I saw a little bit of your speech there." And he says, "Look, I'll tell you all the time. We talk to contractors that are working there on Meta, on the site. And there are people that have been working here for months, and they have to get transferred somewhere else, and they're upset because they love it here." And oftentimes it is some of our own people, right, that really have apathy. Because they always feel like somewhere else is better. And you've said it. I've lived other places. I've lived in California. We've lived in Texas. We've lived in Missouri. We lived all those places. They were exciting cities at first, but they all become familiar. Sure. And they wound up just being places that I wanted to visit versus live. Home was home for me, and it was time for us to come back home and grow a family. And it's the best decision we ever made in our lives. Monroe is big enough that you can have a little bit of privacy, but small enough to have that small town feel. And you have the ability to do whatever you want to do, whether it's start a small business. I mean, whether it is serve on city council or get involved in your community. There's always a place for you. And it's a very special place. I think it's the best place to live. We choose to live here. I don't want to move anywhere else. I love this city. I'm committed to making it a great place, and I want to make it so good that our kids, when it's time for them to make a choice where to raise their families, they want to choose Monroe.
Yeah. See, my wife actually moved here 2 years ago from Chicago.
Okay.
We met, and through our dating process, she was flying in to visit a lot. Yeah. And this is obviously a much different place than Chicago, but that was one of the things that she kind of fell in love with, is the idea of moving here, kind of abandoning her business there to recreate that here it was the community. It was every gas station she walked into, like the interactions of people are just different, and it was very enchanting to her, and so we feel that.
It's a different way of life.
Austin's from Shreveport.
I'm from Shreveport.
So
it has great balance here. There's an amenity of all types. Sure, you can go to Dallas and get 3 of whatever you find here, but we've got Javi P's, they've got 10 Chipotles.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's something here for anything you need, and it's a good balance. 2-lane interstate. Shout out to that. You know?
It's about to be 3.
Oh, no.
There we go. We're moving on up.
Okay, that's awesome. Fair enough.
Yeah, very good. But no, you're absolutely right. Well, and a lot of us, I was, you live in Alto, and a lot of us are either from small towns that are here doing big things and or other communities that come here. And y'all know DJ. He used to work for me. He's now in the real estate mogul now. Shout out to DJ. But it's just one of those really special places that we've all came here. But we've always said, why is it that it's folks who've lived other places and or from other places that appreciate and love your city more than the folks that actually stay here at times? It feels that way. And that's one thing that, one of the goals that I set out in office was to kind of get our swag back in a sense, to help us start believing in ourselves once again. Whatever those reasons may be where apathy has set in, is to really highlight the people, kind of like you guys are doing, highlight the people, highlight the places, highlight the assets that we have to give people reasons why this is a special place. I oftentimes say, especially in economic development, when people come to your community and make choices on whether or not to invest, there are some things that go into this rubric of how they make their decision. But they are also going to have to make a decision, if I make this investment and bring people to your community, what kind of community am I bringing my people to? And if, that's why I tell people it's very important, all the conversations that you have at the coffee shop with people, all the times that you never know who you're talking to. Prime example, we go into Standard Coffee one day, it's DJ and I, and we walk in and there is a group of 5 or 6 people who are sitting in the corner. Beautiful people, well-dressed, head to toe. The guy's probably got this Brioni suit that costs more than my car outside. Good-looking dude, and we all just DJ and I doing what we do, just roll up to them, introduce ourselves, ask them what they're doing in town, and they're like, we're in town for business. I was like, okay, well, what's the business? And they're like, well, we're visiting a client, can't tell you right now. Fast forward 1.5 years later, that cat we were talking to with that slick suit was standing on stage in Richland Parish at the Civic Center with a shovel in his hand for the Meta announcement.
Wow.
He was a C-suite individual with Meta that was in town visiting the region. And
did he have a different suit on?
Yes, and it was just as nice.
Yeah, more than one.
Just as nice. And but you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And especially today, I can tell you that I talked to my airport director, Charles Butcher. And I say, Charles, I need you to keep up with all of the corporate jets that are flying into and track the tail numbers and tell me who's in our city.
Yeah.
And if I told you some of these planes and who they belong to, you would realize that we have an opportunity in front of us right now that is unprecedented, that we have never seen, and that there are more people from these C-suite individuals from these very large companies that a lot of us shop at, that a lot of us use their tech, that a lot of us are a part of our lives, that are making decisions to invest in our region, and it's going to be solely based on how they feel when they come here and how we treat them.
Yeah, there's a tangible buzz, I feel like, with all the stuff coming on, and we're gonna mention some of these as we go along and talk about certain specific things, but man, it does feel like an exciting time to get in on the ground floor of all kind of stuff. And something you mentioned I thought was really poignant was the idea that you can innovate and create businesses for yourself in this type of community. Like it is harder to do that in Shreveport.
Correct.
It's harder to do that in Baton Rouge. But like I was able to move here and then become a part of building a business that like one day I would love for my son to work at. I would love for my daughter to have an opportunity there. Right. Austin has kids, Casey has kids. Like, we have this idea that it's like we can continue to grow this and like, to build something for our next generation. And I see that all the time with HVAC guys and plumbing guys, like friends of mine that like create businesses and are doing well. And it's a cool thing. And I always thought it was interesting that you have two pretty major colleges within like a 30-mile radius, which you have ULM, which is like one of the best construction management programs. And then Tech for Engineering.
And you've got Grambling just right down the road.
Grambling right down the road.
Cybersecurity and the things that they're doing there.
It seems like a lot of those guys come out of these programs and then innovate here locally, which kind of the city has color to me. This city has a certain color, and it's pretty cool to be a part of.
It is. It's starting to change too, attitudes, perceptions, and I think in my maybe anecdotal, but I think it's happening with the young professionals. Yeah. And the buzz that's being created. It's the 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings that are, you know, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? It is that group of people who are, you know, making that conscious decision that we're going to make it here. I tell people all the time when they graduate, I love being on campuses and talking to, because that's a great feedback loop about, you know, the things that the students would like to see within the city of Monroe, right? Yeah. What does a Monroe look like that you would want to stay in? Because you got to have that feedback loop. It's you can't if you don't know your product and you don't know who you're marketing to and you don't know what it is that's going to make this place sticky for them to retain this talent, then who are you talking to? Yeah. What does your table look like, and how are you getting that feedback from them? Dr. Hummel has been a political science teacher out at ULM, and he has brought me in for the last 5 years that I've been there, and he's been keeping up with student perception and like data based around students' perception around Monroe, how things are going, and he's keeping up with that data, and it's positive. Every year over year, it's just like the students' perception of the area is growing, and this is hard data feedback loop from college students about our area. There are some nagging, persistent, opportunities that are still around. You know, the whole perception of crime and is it a safe city and all of these things. But it's slowly you can start to see that data change over time as opportunities present themselves, as these new projects that we're doing throughout the city start popping up, as these new businesses start, you know, cropping up, and young professionals getting involved, and changing the way that they speak about their community has really changed, I guess, in a sense, the temperature here, and it's really positive to see that happen.
Yeah, I didn't actually grow up here, and I've always looked outward since I've gotten here, you know, like where are we going to land, where are we going to end up, you know, because it didn't feel like this. Yeah. And I am genuinely locked in, you know, rooted here now, like excited for my kids to grow up here, kind of like what you were saying, like make your kids want to be here. Yeah. It kind of is why, you know, like why I actually bring my kids to work a lot, you know, like we have a really cool vibe at our office, you know, like they love being there. People throw football with them, whatever, you know, really cool. And so I'm genuinely excited for the growth that's coming. Like this is sincere. So I'm interested, like, what do you think, you know, even as soon as 5 years from now, like, do we see any benefit from the growth of Meta here? Like, do you see?
Full disclosure, he lives in West Monroe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I get to enjoy their amenities. Right. I actually do all things in my life in Monroe.
Right. Cousins. Yeah, no, absolutely. We're already starting to see it. We're completely starting to see it. There is, on the short term, let's say short term, we're already starting to see there's zero occupancy in our hotels.
Oh, absolutely.
Go to the airport. I challenge you all, drive by the airport and look at long-term parking. We're going to have to build another parking lot pretty soon.
That's incredible.
Okay, and that translates.
We use that parking lot a lot, actually.
Talk to James Earl at Flying Tiger and talk about their volume of sales. Yeah. They have yet to reach capacity at workforce capacity. They're almost maybe half. In April, there will be probably 6,000 to 6,500 people on site. Wow. And they haven't reached half of it yet. And so there are kids in our school systems right now that families that are working on that site, will be working on that site for the next 5 years. Wow. There are kids in our school systems. They are buying homes. They are investing that income, that disposable income, in our community, and it's being recirculated. We're seeing that in increased sales tax collections. And so on the short term, absolutely. Long term, let me tell you let me paint a picture for you. Everybody's so focused, and which rightfully so, they should be. It's a $27 billion investment. Okay, let's stop for a second.
I thought it was 10. I didn't know it was 27.
Oh, they just here's
that's what happens with change orders.
Let me just change orders. It's not even change orders. Let me clarify some things. So, first announced was a $10 billion project. Yeah. Now, right, I may be a little cheeky when I say $27 billion.
Yeah.
What we do know is the financing on this deal has been closed at $27 billion with Blue Owl and Meta.
Imagine being the finance agent.
If you listen to the president sitting next to Mark Zuckerberg in the Oval Office, and he talked about the Hyperon, and you remember the famous photo of him holding up, and it's a map of Manhattan, and this project covering 70% of Manhattan's footprint. Okay, and he looked at Mark Zuckerberg and he says, he's like, what is this going to be? Mark, it's eventually going to be a $50 billion, and he was like, yes,
it's a solid impression.
He's like $50 billion
Solid one.
out of his mouth, $50 billion, and that's not the first time that either. And then you take an interview that Mark Zuckerberg did with I forgot who he was talking to, but he said he's about to invest $100 billion into 3 of his data clusters. One was being Prometheus, the second one is Titan, and the third is Hyperon, and that's the one that's being built. Now let's take the law of averages. You divide that up, that's $33 billion for each if you just took the law of averages. So it only tells you, and if you're reading the tea leaves, this thing and the rumors have always been that this is not the first. They're building this for their Llama application. It's one of the most used AI applications in the world. And the growth at which that these applications, the data that's needed for all of this is not the last investment. Now, will it look the same as the first tier, as the third tier wave or fourth tier wave? As technology changes and advancements changes, may not look that way. But what we do know is immediately there will be 500 jobs, okay? If somebody says, wow, that's only 500 jobs. Okay, let me ask you something. What happened whenever the 500 jobs at the guide plant went away for our region? Do you understand the impact that had? And it's not just 500 jobs, it's their spouses that are here, it's their children in our school systems, it's their disposable incomes that have left our community, they got siphoned out. It had a tremendous impact to our region. And so let's just say 500 jobs, but what you're not seeing is the activity surrounding this investment. Right now at our economic development organizations at their office, they're fielding 40 plus RFPs, requests for proposals, of companies to come and set up around this development, okay, to be able to service it long term, whether it's folks that are dealing with the technology changeover that's happening in there, whether it's security, whatever it is. Well, what that represents on paper, if we were to land every single one of those opportunities, that is an additional $18 billion in new investment and 4,500 new jobs. That's just to service this investor. So for each job, doesn't matter what industry, there's always a what you call an ancillary or a secondary job for that. It's a multiplier effect. So it takes maybe...
Meta's the seed.
Correct. Yeah. It takes 2 support positions to support this one position, right? So your company, right? So if you, the founders of this company, you know how many jobs that are going to need to support what this does? You're going to have an accountant, a bookkeeper. You're going to have all these people around that support that one job, and it's the same thing for this. And so, sure. And even for the folks who don't understand this, and I think that's a big issue right now. If people don't understand the importance of AI and data, and the fact is, this is the new arms race.
Yeah, it's the way we're going. We like it or not, this is what's happening.
This is national defense and national security levels of spending to ensure that America is the dominant force in AI and technology. And you're starting to see these investments happen. I can tell you personally from my desk in my office, I have sat down with people who represent other companies that are manufacturing chips and diodes in all parts of the world that are looking, not just looking at Louisiana, they're looking in southern states, they're looking all around, because there is levels of spending backed up by the federal government that are looking to land chips, diode production, manufacturing back in the states, and they are looking at states right now who have a healthy business climate and environment, and right now Louisiana and southern states have the hot hand. Think about it. There is a $50 billion in new investment happening currently in the state of Louisiana between LNG, between the Hyundai steel plant that's being built, the solar panel investment that's just been announced in South Louisiana, between Meta and everything else that's happening, we are positioned. So yes, the long answer for a very short question, there will be immediate positive and an immediate long-term gain from this.
Fair enough.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, something to go along with that on the technology side is a project people have been talking about around the city is the AT&T fiber partnership.
Yeah.
So what does expanded broadband access mean for the city's growth and its progress moving forward?
Yeah. We understand the way that the world has moved post-COVID. That means from a jobs standpoint, locality does not mean necessarily matter anymore. You don't have to live in Seattle to work for company XYZ. You can live in Monroe.
Right.
But for that to happen, you're going to need quality and secure internet access, not only to help with telehealth, to help with your job, kids after school. Y'all remember the days, and I hate to go back to this, back when we were all shuttered in our homes during COVID. You only had so much access to the internet, and then your internet speed started slowing down. Your kids, and then all of a sudden somebody has to now jump on their phone to use their cell phone to gain internet access. Then your bill goes through the roof, the whole nine. What that means for us is that every home in the city of Monroe will have access to reliable internet and speed in internet. We will be a 5 gig city within the next 2 years once this is done. And not only that, I think we were very intentional about how we used our dollars to ensure that the folks who had the least amount of connection were the first to be able to get connection and affordable connection. And so we made it a priority in our RFP to state that, look, we don't want you to start with your gold-plated plans first, which we understand that's the one that makes you money. The whole purpose behind this was is an equity piece to this, to say that those who don't have access to internet right now will be the ones to get it first.
Sure. Right?
We want to ensure that these homes, and not only that, affordable access, and AT&T stepped up to the plate. There are plans as low right now, I think, is like $19 a month. That is unheard of for blistering speeds and connection. And so it means the world. And so when companies, these are the little things. These are the tiny little things that companies look for when they relocate to your area. And it's going to mean the world, not only just for business, but for school and telehealth.
Well, you dug up my yard. That's what they did. They just dug up my yard and put some fiber in there.
There is, as I tell people, as
side effects.
As it's like everybody wants potholes fixed until you have to be detoured for 3 weeks, right? It's like everybody wants progress until it's time when progress shows itself. It is a short term pain for a long term gain. You know, and that's exactly what a lot of the work that we do is, right. You see all the work happening right now on Forsyth. That is a deal that we struck with the state on the roads transfer program. That there were 9 roads within the city of Monroe that the state owned, and that we wanted to take them back into our possession. And it was a deal that we struck with the state that once they make the improvements, they'll bring the road up to very good standard. They're making improvements to the drainage, the conflict boxes on the side of the road, all of this. And then they give us a line item credit for the maintenance of these roads long term. But it was important for us to do that, not only to fix our roads, but to gain control of that now. Because, look, I love DOTD. They're good partners for us, no doubt. But anytime there is another entity as a part of the process to approve things that need to happen within your city, that's just the bureaucracy everybody hates, and it sits on somebody's desk for weeks, if not months, and then the price goes up. So those are little things that we're doing. But this fiber, the fiber program, was interesting in a couple of ways. It was the very first public-private partnership that a municipality entered into with AT&T in the state of Louisiana, and one of the first in the Gulf South. There was all this money post-COVID to get everybody connected because we understood what happened. Monroe is in this really weird population purgatory to where a lot of the programs that were out there we didn't qualify for because we had a lot of connection, but they were really focusing on the areas like rural areas that had zero connection, right?
Like
and
Casey's
then
house.
That's right. There you go. Good old Alto.
That's it.
Old Bend to the river.
Yeah.
So we
He still has a Windows 95.
some of the best
so
hush puppies you've ever had in your life, by the way. Shout out to the Finleys. Anyway, but so we were kicked out of that first round of funding. And so we leveraged our own dollars to be able to do something. And so we didn't sit around and wait on somebody to help us and fix us, because there's still communities waiting around on Fed money and state money to help fix their problems. We just went out on our own and fixed it on our own and created a very unique way to be able to address this. And so it's a big deal. It shows what happens when you innovate, when you allow the private sector and the public sector to come together and make solutions, create solutions for problems.
Does that blend together with what we're doing with the meta stuff as well? Is that going to improve our standing there? Is it going to improve? I mean, do those things marry at any point, or are they kind of just separate projects in general?
Yeah, they're separate, but also it matters, because I think when companies like that realize that their people aren't all going to live in Richland Parish.
Sure.
And we're the closest metro.
Yeah, that's right. We are the closest metro in almost a 15 parish region. I mean, I still consider us a hub for folks in southern Arkansas.
Sure.
People in Crossett and all of them come down and shop here and eat here and get entertained here. And
even West Mississippi, I'm sure, as well. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, our labor shed statistics show that you have people that drive in from Mississippi for quality jobs. And here's the other connection. It'll probably dovetail into something else we were probably going to talk about today. That's why Amtrak matters.
Yes.
It means so much, because with a mobile workforce, you have new opportunities for us to be able to create travel opportunities. When I got in office, I was encouraged to attend a Southern Rail Commission meeting. It's one of the oldest rail commissions in the country that's still operable today. It was enacted through Congress, and it was held in Meridian, Mississippi. That's a city that I find that we have a very interesting similarities to our communities. Same way with Jackson, Tennessee. I always travel to find communities that are those hubs to rural areas in different states. Not some town that has 40,000 people on the outskirts of Austin and be like, well, can't we be like so-and-so? It's because, sure, Austin's got, 2 million people in their metro?
Yeah.
They
feed off of Austin, where these people feed off of us.
That's why that little town can get a Chipotle.
Yeah.
Or get a Trader Joe's, is because they're right outside of this big metro area, and it's involved in their daytime economy numbers. But long story short, so I attended it. I met John Robert Smith. He was a senior policy advisor for Smart Growth America and Transportation for America. Used to sit as the chairman of the board for Amtrak. Great guy. He built the South's first multimodal train station in the South in Meridian, because at the point there is a disconnection between Jackson, Mississippi and Marshall, Texas. I always just say Meridian to Marshall. If you connect Meridian to Marshall through passenger rail, you ultimately connect Atlanta to Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay?
I heard you talking about that at one of those deals where you were talking about the Atlanta to Dallas opening up an actual passenger way to that, which is super interesting for commerce in general.
Yeah, so every now and then, look, I'm full of bad ideas, but every now and again the mayor's got a few good ones. But I also saw their vision, because ultimately what they worked on years ago is opening up the opportunity for us for mobile workforce, traveling nurses, physicians, talent that's going to be here on this site. And if you also look what's been happening through investments through data centers, Atlanta to Dallas right now is this digital freeway.
Sure.
And these folks will all be working on these sites, and people with certain specific skill sets that can be able to travel different ways. On Friday, I'm traveling to Bay St. Louis to the Southern Rail Commission. Representative Neil Reiser and I were both put on the Southern Rail Commission by Governor Landry, and I really appreciate that, because man, I love passenger rail now. I'm a huge fan of it. I see the excitement that brings to communities. They just opened up the Mardi Gras route between Mobile to New Orleans. They're having to add extra cars now because it's sold out. I mean, this thing is just record ridership.
I heard there's one that connects New Orleans to Chicago, by the way. Is that true?
That's the Crescent. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather fly.
Oh
but,
yeah, it's you're there. It's just a different. People who love trains love trains.
I think the journey becomes a part of the trip instead of just getting
all
there.
about
it
trains,
is.
train.
And if you realize, and if you talk to anybody who's ever lived in D.C. or Maryland, and all through Massachusetts and all around that area, they all just romanticize the Acela. That's how they all went to work. Yeah. They used the Acela to get in and out of D.C. or New York or in Boston and all through there. And it's the same thing. That's just something that we haven't had the privilege and the opportunity to use, because if you start to look at the rail networks, you'll notice that the South is just not in that conversation. And so I'm heading to Bay St. Louis, and the one thing I'm bringing up to their attention is the fact that we have this investment in Meta that's happening up here. And here I am talking to contractors really worried about getting people in and out of our airport from Atlanta to Dallas simply because of the volume that's needed.
Airport.
And the airlines don't turn on a dime like that. They have to, to get bigger planes and more, it's a big deal, and all the regulations that they have to go through. And I said, well, what happens, like we saw months on end, when there's a FAA radar, hail is thrown it out, and there's canceled flights throughout the country, or there's bad weather. Hail is not going to stop that train from running, right? And so their people will be able to jump on that. And not only that, the number of people that I meet that are traveling nurses and physicians and all the people, and I bring this up, and they're like, oh my God, if I had that option, I would use it all the time. And so it's about really, from my job as mayor is trying to look, 10 years down the road, trying to pay attention to, a lot of these, the way trends are happening in investments in your country from an economic development standpoint, and what are the assets that we can tangibly work on and to achieve, that we can put those pieces in place that can be attractive for those companies. And having different modes of transportation through train, the fact that we have an airport that has an east and westbound flights is a big deal to them.
I love our airport, by the way.
Oh,
the easiest security in the world.
Yeah.
You're just standing in line with everyone you're on the plane with.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll call your cell phone. Yeah. If you're late for the flight. They have called me before. Like, hey, are you coming?
Yeah.
We'll wait for you. You want us to come pick you up?
And I love it. And people are always like going, it's the chicken and egg thing. It's like, oh, I found a flight that's $100, $150 cheaper that flies out of XYZ. And I said, but you know what? You know what the worst feeling in the world is?
Landing
is to
and driving.
be gone for a week.
Yeah.
Come back. You just want to go home and hug your family's neck. But I got to get in this car and I got to drive 2 hours, and I've got to pay that long-term parking fee. Right, and and by the end you've saved $25. Congratulations.
Yeah,
right.
I will pay for convenience.
I'm that guy that's always trying to save money, and my wife is like, "We're just flying out of Monroe. I'm not driving when I get back."
Look, it gets tricky when you're flying 4.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, but it's still.
And I know
it's
a lot of times people don't have the opportunity to do this, but I will tell you a little trick. Book 14 days before you go anywhere, and I'll tell you, I've had flights to D.C. round trip that $320 out of Monroe. I mean, you can really get anywhere if you plan it properly, and if if you're a good traveler, you're gonna send those Google flight alerts that tell you when the flight you're looking for in that time frame starts to drop at the price you want. It drops. It sends you an alert immediately. So
enter code Mayor Friday Ellis.
That's it.
Discounts.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, my youngest loves trains. We watch the Polar Express like 100 times every December. Man. So I know he's rooting for that. He would be super excited. Would go on a trip anywhere, really. So
man, just if he really loves that, then I would encourage you. And it's really a beautiful route. Go to, and it's fairly inexpensive. So go to New Orleans and catch they call it the Mardi Gras route, and to go through there and just to see the tree lines change, the coastal line change into piney woods, into live oaks, and the stops in Pascagoula and all the small cities. We were there, and when the train, the inaugural route, when they brought it back, there were people in boats just waving at the train, just lined up. people at like, these old Tasty Freezes in town that are by there, they're all got their cameras out, they're waving, the train's running again. People were so excited about this, and it brings joy to a lot of people. And here's the good news, and so there is a little bit of something I want to clear up about passenger rail. The I-20 route is a federally supported route. So meaning that once we are able to stand this route up, or Amtrak does, and the host rail stands it up, that means that Louisiana Department of Transportation, they're off the hook. That means this is the Fed DOT will be paying out of their fare box, meaning that this is a federally supported route because it's part of the long distance network. And so we will be able to, have this opportunity. And by the way, your car, a plane, any mode of transportation is federally subsidized. The federal highway system hasn't been paying out of the fare box in over 30 years. So everything you do, whether it be cars, planes, trains, whatever form of transportation, is heavily subsidized by the federal government.
So you're saying there will be federal dollars to back this project?
Yes.
Is there a fear that all the local money is going to be spent on
well,
this? Well,
there's just a lot of talk about rail. From people who aren't necessarily educated enough on rail, and try to make points that they love to fly, but it all comes from the same bucket, right? And I'll say this: there's some rail haters out there too. But guess what? You don't have to ride rail haters. Shout out! But you don't have to ride on it if you don't like to.
Sure.
Right? I'm sorry it offends you so much.
Yeah. Well, no, that sounds like an ancillary business, kind of like what you were talking about already. That's something to bring in to support, which is going to continue to help growth happen organically.
Can you imagine? Okay, Ruston, Vicksburg, Shreveport. And you've also got Delhi that's fighting really hard for it as a stop, not only for talent to get off there in Delhi for the meta site, but also for the World Heritage Site. There's only we're one of the few in the world with a World Heritage Site, right? To be able to do that, can you imagine stepping off in downtown Monroe? You are blocks away from world-class eating, a brand new Hilton Tapestry, in which I'm telling you guys, this was short, few years. Downtown is about to just explode the next 5 to 10 years.
So that's actually what I was going to ask you about next, because I could see capacity issues coming, amenities, that may not sound important, and so is downtown kind of the focus to accommodate that?
I think it is it's a focus of many focuses, because here's what the good news is. We talked about this a little bit off camera.
Sure.
The good news is, my first term, we focused a ton on things that typically aren't sexy work and people can't see, touch, feel. That was very important for growth. Number one, capacity in water and sewer. Okay, we just cut ribbon on almost a $60 million water treatment plant expansion that doubled our water capacity, right? And then when we moved the water to the new train, we finally had the opportunity to shut the old train down enough to be able to make repairs to it, right? It's a big deal.
No.
Not only that,
foundational stuff that has to be in place. Because like you said, you could go do all the sexy work and make people happy and make it like nice and shiny, but then if it all crumbles because the water floods everything, it doesn't really help.
Let me tell you something. Let me break it down real simple for you. If you had an auto manufacturing plant, or let's just say a small manufacturing plant that needed a high volume of water, well, just if you've got a high flow carburetor, you're going to need a high flow exhaust, right? And it's the same thing with water and sewer. What good is new water capacity if you have no sewer capacity? Yeah. When we took office, one of our 3 major sewer trunk lines that takes all of the waste from our city and moves it to our sewer treatment plant, one of 3 was clogged for over 9,000 feet. 18 feet below subgrade, ran under 28 homes in a school, right? It's one of our first projects that we did. We spent almost 12, when it's done, it's going to be about a $14 million project on something you'll never see.
Yeah.
You will never see.
Didn't even hear about it.
That's right. Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? It's the Texas
there's potholes on Louisville still. What are we doing?
The funny thing about it, a lot of people don't know this too, that I worked for the engineering department for the city of Monroe almost what was it? Almost 15 years ago.
Really?
And we were talking about the Texas Standard for Trunk Line being an issue then, right? And I had, 15 years later, here I am. We took care of it. Without that, your city can't grow. So we took care of the sewer, the water, the drainage, all of the things that folks come here and are going to look for. Took care of all that. Our next capacity issue will be housing.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah. And with us, and construction prices and interest rates, interest rates are slowly starting to fall, but usually when you see high construction prices, interest rates will drop, or vice versa. None of this is happening, right? Sure. Interest rates are slowly starting to come down. So the one thing that downtown offered that not a lot of other areas offered, we have a lot of historic stock, and we can go vertical. So with the historic stock, you have buildings that qualify for federal and state historic tax credits that you can now turn and sell on the market as a form of a tax rebate to kind of mitigate or to eat into some of those costs that you can do. And we had some real historic opportunities to grow downtown. If you think about the folks you're trying to attract, or this next generation, that's why feedback loops are great, right? So we started with a downtown strategic planning session, right? It was a year and a half of just feedback. You can find all of this at Monroe, ONEROE.city, Monroe.city, and start looking at the downtown strategic plan. First phase was just like discovery. Second phase was like taking all of this data and then kind of figuring out where all this clustering was happening. Where's your medical district? Where's your housing opportunities? And your third phase of the plan, which is adopted by the Downtown Development District, is what are your breakout projects? And you're starting to see a lot of those happening right now. You see all the sidewalks, the drainage, the lighting, all of that happening downtown. Phase 2 is about to kick off down Walnut, right? You're having all of this stuff, ADA accessibility, and it's all happening strategically around the Amtrak station, all our main area through here. So there is a method to the madness. And so when investors come in and start thinking about housing and where to develop housing, and hoteliers start to look into your downtowns looking to build, they're going to want to know, how are our people get around? What's the accessibility of downtown? Is it beautiful?
I've heard some amazing stuff about Hotel Monroe.
Have you been in?
It looks beautiful. I haven't been in yet.
Gosh.
I've seen the outside. I've seen the pictures. I heard it's incredible.
It's amazing to think that over 3 years ago we were standing there on dirt floor when the Eccles announced this, right? And now to walk in and see, in my opinion, I've stayed at a lot of boutique hotels that's on par with pretty much anything you can get in New Orleans.
Yeah, that
says a lot in Monroe. Another prime example of that is you had, I can't divulge too much. You'll see it. Just everybody pay attention to the first council meeting, okay, in January. You had a developer to start looking to develop homes in Richland Parish because they're going to have a housing capacity issue too.
There's a big push for homes and food and everything. Everyone wants to run out there and feed and house those guys and be the first to it.
Yep. Well, this developer stayed in Hotel Monroe. And they got to walk in our downtown and eat at our restaurants and go see the things, and they're like, we want to invest here.
Yeah.
They would have not gotten that opportunity to see our city in that light if they were staying off interstate. Nothing wrong with those hotels off interstate. Yeah. But the importance of having a hotel in the heart of your city around your local businesses and what that means. If just do me a favor, I want y'all Saturday morning, Sunday, I want y'all to make it a Saturday. Go eat breakfast there. Go eat breakfast at the hotel, and then you go sit and watch the people. Go early because they're going to get up in the morning. They're going to put their running clothes on. They're going to be running in our downtown. You'll see the folks with their bicycles on top of they'll bike to West Monroe and get coffee. They'll bike into Monroe and run and walk downtown. And the thought that it was a little foreign to me that I'm sitting in my hometown and I'm looking in this very beautiful place, and I'm looking out the windows, and I feel like I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is everywhere else has had the opportunity to experience this, but now we are getting to experience it as our own. And it really is this mind shift to think that you're here in Monroe. Drive by. It is unbelievable.
That is cool. And you will comp a room night for each of us to try it out.
My pockets ain't that deep. And I'll tell you this. There's zero occupancy.
Yeah.
They're slammed. And again, awesome. You go back. It's when we talked about that apathy. Ain't nobody gonna pay $300 a night to stay in Monroe. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but they're already doing it.
They currently are.
They're already doing it.
A few weeks ago, I was having flooring done at my house, and we were like minorly displaced just because we have little, young kids. Got to make lunches and things like that.
Yeah.
And in a panic, we needed a hotel.
Yeah.
And there was literally nothing.
Yeah.
There was one room at the Fairfield Inn.
Yeah.
$300 a night. Very, basic level hotel. It was nice, but we had to pay $300 a night to be there. And we were lucky to even get that room because they tried to send us out on a Thursday.
Don't think these are prices simply because of this construction going on in Holly Ridge. Trust me, we have vendors that come in town for years paying that rate.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. We were at the rooftop bar, the Star Bar, and on top of Hotel Monroe. They have a rooftop bar.
This is a incredible place. We need to check this
place
out.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
If you haven't been there, you need to go. So we're up there, and somebody's fire pit went out right outside, and the propane tank went out. And I'm watching this beautiful family just hang out there, and I'm just like, man, it's cold. I literally went in there and unconnected the propane tank and went and got the guy, and the guy goes, Mayor?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I want people when they're in our city to have a great experience.
Yeah.
It's just like when you go to a restaurant, you have the best meal of your life, but when you check out, the service is rude. That's all you're going to remember, right? And so I went to talk to these folks, and you had a family from Texas. You had another family over there from Ruston who came all the way from Ruston just to come check out the restaurant and the rooftop bar. Yeah. You have to realize what these amenities bring, and one by one, as they keep adding these things, it's
that is such an interesting concept because you're right. Like, we're lucky enough to travel a good bit. My wife from Chicago, she loves New Orleans. We go to New Orleans, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. We go to Chicago 3 or 4 times a year to see her family. But that is what creates the vibe. You're so right. Like, when I think of my experiences in New Orleans, I think about morning coffee sitting outside in the French Quarter. I think about wandering around to a nice meal. Chicago, you think about wandering around downtown.
And stay in Metairie on your way into New Orleans.
Yeah.
You don't stay off the interstate.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And nothing wrong with staying in Metairie. I'm just saying you want to experience where you are.
Yeah.
Right? What makes their unique fingerprint special to them, right? That's what you want to explore within a city. And think about this. You know all the places, whether it's that dang truck stop honey bun, the Fun Row honey bun at Flying Tiger, or whether it's anything on the menu at Parrish, or whether it's the new restaurant at Hotel Monroe. If you hadn't had a steak there, by the way, it's unbelievable.
Or Aparo. Aparo's phenomenal as well.
Aparo, my goodness. But you're in the walking distance of the Eli Room or Restaurant Cotton and all of the things. And pretty soon, within a couple months, a world-class sushi restaurant across. I mean,
we're excited about that.
When Corey's like, I got a chef in from Osaka. I'm like, what? Just casually, no big deal. Yeah. Just somebody from Osaka, Japan, and Monroe helped me fix the menu.
We're going Friday night. He's slow rolling all that sushi out at Parrish, and so we're going Friday night for my wife's birthday to try it out. And we're excited.
So Nicole Busich with Amtrak, shout out. She came to Monroe. Oh, I'll tell you another funny story. Monroe is the smallest place, literally the center of the universe. I step off. I'm in Salt Lake City for a municipal conference, and I step off the plane in Salt Lake International. I hear, "Hey, Friday!" I look over, and it's like Andy Chasen. He's over there in the airport, but we're there that night, and we're with some folks from Amtrak, and we're having dinner with them. In the next room, is the CEO of Hilton and his team in the next room. And so I get the Amtrak team and I bring them over there because I'm trying to I want them to know that we're getting passenger rail. And, they perked up and they were like, really? I was like, yeah, it's going to be like 2 blocks away from here. And they're like talking to one another. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. But in that room in your own hometown, and it goes back to our original conversation. Be careful the things that you say about your community because there are a lot of people here looking to spend money and to be able to create opportunities. And the things you say, oh, I wish would come here, some people don't realize that it's the things that they say could keep that from coming here. And so, and I go back to everything. Look, it's not to gaslight the problems that we have within our community, but if you can't think of a good thing to say, what'd your grandmama used to tell you?
Yeah.
don't say it at all.
Anything at all.
Right? Especially if it ain't backed up with a solution, or at least you doing something to fix it. So
that's an interesting mindset to have, and it makes a lot of sense, you know. And it's a cool concept to try to be a tourist in your own city one day. That is, I would love to try that out. A little staycation.
It's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep.
To tie back into, and this is a lot more boring conversation, just something I'm interested in. But you were talking about the water infrastructure earlier.
Austin loves water.
I do. It's a thing. For me. It's delicious.
There are a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I can put you in some rooms with people that geek out about water too.
He would love that. In fact, let's set that up.
Yeah. So, but if I'm, I don't know if I'm correct about this, but I believe the city of Monroe supplies water to the new graphic packaging facility out in East Ouachita Parish.
That's right.
But that's outside of city limits. So like, how does that work? Like, are you guys working to develop that direction, or like, I mean, what is your involvement there since that's outside of city limits?
So that happened. I'll tell you, this has happened long before me.
Okay.
That's the important. It goes back to the importance we talked about earlier about having the capacity to be able to provide water to these folks, and the capacity to be able to handle the sewer that comes out of that. A couple new projects. So what you're talking about, it cuts through the I-20 development district. Okay. We have the state of Louisiana has 4 economic development districts that work off the state tax increment, meaning that a dollar you spend out there, that there are certain monies that stay in your community and there's certain monies that go to the state. Well, that district carves out a piece that goes to the state, and that stays in your community for infrastructure capacity and building roads and sewer and water and all of this stuff to support development, right? And so I'm sure if I were to look back and to say that probably it was a combination between I-20 Development District and the city of Monroe to be able to build the infrastructure to be able to push water that way. Mm-hmm. And so, we provide water.
No further implication than that. That's
no. And we also sell water to Greater Ouachita. You know, they'll receive our water. They'll do what they do with it and then send it to, their customers. So we provide bulk contracts for even smaller water entities.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's a big asset for the city of Monroe, and it's something that you see what happens to communities that don't invest in their water supplies. You can name a lot of horror stories in the last 6 years that have happened, that they're large cities who their own water supplies have been shut off and National Guards have been brought in. Mm-hmm. When this freeze hit, we were one of the only municipalities in North Louisiana whose water train did not go down.
Wow.
And we were supplying water, bulk water, to a lot of these places to come to provide water for their people.
I also noticed, like, since you've been mayor, it seems like there's more of an alignment with the West Monroe City mayor.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like you guys work in tandem in a lot of areas.
Yeah, Mayor Mitchell.
That's really cool to see. I mean, are you guys working on anything kind of like, I guess, just building up along the river together? Is that kind of the focus? 'Cause, I mean,
she's wonderful.
She has been excellent.
Her last week or week before at her address, and she's a lot like you. Y'all
she's
both
a go-getter.
Y'all are sharp. You carry like a cool vibe with you. Yeah. Very personable.
Well, she was an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Really?
I mean, think about it. She was a creative. I mean, she had a photography studio, so you had to be some creativity. You know what I mean? So, and I think it's just a different mindset. And so, we were friends before we even got into office. And so, I grew up in a place called the Twin Cities, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Twins sometimes fight, but they are, regardless whether you like it or not, y'all related.
Each other.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And the health of one another depends upon. There's no doubt that a strong West Monroe helps Monroe, and a strong Monroe helps West Monroe. And the same way, you either look at that river as something that divides us or something that connects us.
Yeah.
And our relationship to one another, I mean, it's for whatever reasons, I don't know. But again, I only focus on things that I can control.
Absolutely.
The things that I can control are being able to work with mayors, not only Mayor Mitchell, but Mayor Brown in Richwood, Mayor Matt Talbert up in Sterlington. I work with Mayor Ronnie Walker. I work with my old principal, Harry Lewis in Rabel. But at some point, Monroe had lost its sense of being the parish seat. It lost its sense of being a regional driver. It lost its sense of understanding its place and role in an entire region. I tell people, and people laugh when I say this, but I've yet to have anybody prove me wrong. Take a 300 1,000-foot zoom out. And if you look at the Mississippi River and you think of the last 3 stands as far as like economic drivers along the Mississippi in the state of Louisiana, you've got New Orleans, you got Baton Rouge, and you've got Monroe on that Mississippi Delta.
Yeah.
So goes each of those cities. So goes that entire region.
Yeah.
You know, and we in the decisions that I make here, I also have to realize affect an entire region. And I say that because we are the education hub that has the community college and a university here. We are the healthcare hub that has, you know, Ochsner and St. Francis. We are the workforce hub. We rely on our outer parishes so much for workforce to fuel our workers and everything else. We have to realize that the problems that we face can be solved together. We talked about flooding, talked about water earlier. What good does it do? I mean, we can build capacity here, right? And the projects that we've worked on built capacity in Monroe. But the example I gave is that it's like we've traded in a small sink for a large sink, but what's it matter if the drain is still clogged, right? What if you take Young's Bayou as it leaves Monroe and could go into other parishes? You see what happens when you build this capacity in Monroe. You're dumping it on someone else. And so if you were to ask me of like what's one last goal of mine or infrastructure goal of mine, it would be to work with parishes south of us that we combine in probably a 7-parish application to not only the federal government but our state government to take, you know, Lafourche and Young's Bayou and Bayou Mature and all these places to be able to build capacity at all the places where our water goes, to take and dredge Young's Bayou, to do all the things we need to do to build capacity. So, you know, you will never be able to build enough infrastructure to save this community from another 2016 flood. You may save a few homes. You may, instead of thousands of homes flooding, you may have, you know, maybe 3/4 of that or half of that, which is good progress. But what our residents need to realize, we live in the Mississippi Delta, right? We live in the Delta. That means that's the reason why there's so many homes that have to carry flood insurance. It's not because it's the way we sit topographically. We all live in a 100-year floodplain, right? And we build and we live here. So
we think we're safe because we're so high up. We think we're hurricane proof up here, but
no,
we're still not flood proof.
But topographically, we're still low and flat, right? Our water is flat and the water can't go anywhere. But there are things we're doing locally with building retention ponds and detention ponds. And we've built capacity. Right now, we've got a program going on. It's a 6-year, $6 million project that is cleaning out every underground drainage pipe and catch basin within the city of Monroe. If y'all follow our social media page, you'll see some of the interesting things we're pulling out of these drains. Y'all, it is a shopping
it's
cart.
Insane.
There was a 18-inch rim and a 20-inch pipe that was just wreaking havoc on a whole community.
You still got that rim?
I don't know. But I'll tell you, it was man, you know, those are the little things that we're doing to help this situation. But you know, we went back to the voters probably about 4 to 5 months ago to renew a 1% sales tax. So when we got into office, the residents pay for it's 1 cent on every 1% of every dollar spent here goes back to an infrastructure fund to help with streets, drainage, and underground infrastructure.
That's the workshop deal I attended when you were talking. That's
that's it. Yeah, to inform the public. Well, when we got there, that money we had no room to bond. That money had already been spent on previous bonds, right? Water bonds and sewer bonds and all these other things. That money had already been bonded out. So we were working when our first term on a cash basis, and then we were having a majority of that money had to go pay down on that debt, and we had to work on cash basis. So I would argue all the time we had to do more with less since we got there in our first term. Now we have the ability to bond, and in the first of the year is our goal to be able to bring a bond package to the public for just to show them what we're going to do. But it's going to be, so all of our pothole people out there, we're going to use this money to redo streets, fix potholes, do all the things. the ditches in front of your yards now, the canals, to be able to go in and dredge and clean those as well to go along with this underground. But also things that really excites me are the quality of life pieces that will be woven into there. So new investments in our parks, new investments in our recreation centers, because absolutely, maybe we could start weaving those in, little stitches coming in with all of the things on social media. But when you think about it, it's how do we build our parks and recreation to serve our residents here, right? And also, whenever other people make the decision to want to move here and they visit our parks and they're like, man, I can see our family playing in this park every weekend, right?
Even what just happened at Forsyth Park is incredible.
Oh, the tennis courts.
It's a beautiful structure, and it's awesome.
Oh, the CVB did a study years ago that talked about we can bring in larger tournaments and more tournaments and more frequent tournaments if we had an addition of 7 new courts. And so we were able to build that. Some of the best. You show me another municipally owned tennis facility that looks like that.
Yeah.
When we're hosting tournaments and people are coming throughout the state, they're like, "This is a city facility." Like, yeah. They love it, and what happens is all of the folks that sit on those boards and commissions all talk about the facility we have up here, the new hotels that are built that people can stay.
Yeah,
it's all the new amenities that are happening right now, and everybody's like, we love these courts, they're great. And so it's little things like that, and then you'll start to see some more improvements. I don't know if y'all play golf, but if you haven't seen the improvements that have been made at Chenault lately, night and day. I used to get so many like angry golfer texts about the way the course looked.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's one thing to get in a sand trap, but it's another thing to have to putt through a sand trap, on the green.
Yeah.
And
we have an intern at our office. I'm pretty sure he's actually playing golf right now.
Yeah.
He's getting paid, but I think pretty sure he's probably at Chenault
I'll
right
sign
now.
up for that.
Yeah.
But the improvements that have been made out of there, just having to go through there. I mean, they were like we've probably removed about 80 dead trees from Chenault. I mean, guys, they used to just let trees fall on the fairway and just mow around it. It was just sad to see. And it was such a beautiful municipal court. And we were just on Google Images the other day, or going through the maps, and I looked at Chenault, and I'm like, man, I'm glad they updated this, because now it's just lush and green, and you can see all the improvements being made to it. So it's awesome. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, the public access athletic stuff we have is cool. I mean, you have 2 open baseball fields at Forsyth. You have the soccer field. I mean, you got just the public access stuff is awesome,
Yeah.
And it's cool, man.
The soccer fields at Chenault are slam full
really.
every weekend.
It's if you go to, once again, I'm going to try to get everybody to go back to Monroe.city. You'll look at the parks plan. You'll look at the recreation plans.
You said Monroe.city?
Monroe, O-N-E-R-O-E.
Pull that up, Jeremy. Let's pull that up.
O-N-E-R-O-E.city. Go there and look and go under parks, and you'll start to see the little things that we've already started to do. That's already turning dirt that we had to pay for on cash basis, right? Now we'll have the ability, and you'll see it all. It's all phased out, and you'll start to see that we're working that plan. It's not a plan that sits on a shelf that collects dust. You can walk on sidewalks where we said we're going to build sidewalks. You can play tennis where we said you were going to play tennis. You now see the at our rec centers that have pools. We have 2 rec centers that have huge pools. You get to see all the new furniture that's out there right now. I mean, these lounge chairs and cabana like umbrellas and the whole nine, and then the esports game rooms and all the things that we said we were going to do. You could slowly start to see them. The improvements was $3.5 million improvement to the zoo, expansion over at the zoo. That's going to.
So you have all that is on onerow.com.
Yep.
It is the downtown development
.city.
Monroe.city.
Yep.
It's the downtown development
Yep.
Structure plan, as well as all the Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah, there's even a historic downtown walking tour that
That's
you can see and learn about
check
history
that
of buildings downtown. There's a music strategy that we've been able to do that kind of makes a business case of why it's important to invest in all the infrastructure around performing artists and what they add to your economy. So there's lots of things that we did to kind of set us up this term and next term to be able to start aligning our dollars to our vision, right? And so it's exciting. I'm pretty pumped about it, and you guys will get a glimpse of it at the first of the year.
Yeah. It's such a cool perspective, because I think it's easy to not pay attention to these things. When you live in a city, it's easy to not pay attention, get caught in your own little bubble.
Yeah.
But it's so cool that there are people driving all of this stuff, and then I'm sitting back sleepwalking, just enjoying all the things, and there's people behind the scenes who are staying up all night trying to figure out how to make it all work. So that's really cool.
Well, it's we get so busy in our day.
Yeah.
Right. We get so busy in our day. I mean, it is like, wake up in the morning. Hopefully the kids have brushed their teeth and got them something to eat, and then they're out of the door to go to school, and then they get home, and it's like, okay, who's got to be where at what practice, this, that, and the other, and you fix dinner, and then it's like, okay, homework, and then let's hope they brush their teeth and wash their hair before they even went to bed, right? And then it's like rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Right.
And then it, for me, as somebody from an elected position, then 2.5 years later, they're like, well, what's been going on?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what has this mayor done? And you're like, how have you missed all this? Right. So
go to onerow.city.
Yeah, go to onerow.city and follow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, because sometimes you have to remind the public, like, where you started and what you've done, no matter how small that deed is, because people, we have a very short attention span, and they can't remember the fact that, and here's another one, here's something, I mean, we've talked a lot of happy things, right?
Sure.
But I mean, this is a reason to celebrate, but it's a statistic that needs to be told. We forget that when we took office, halfway through office, there were, we ended the year with 24 homicides in the city of Monroe. And then last year we closed the year out with 8. Every year you've had year-over-year violent crime decreases in the city of Monroe for the hard work that Monroe PD is doing, the work they're doing with youth, the work that we're doing with our senior citizens in our city, the matriarchs and patriarchs of communities, to work with them to help them take control of their communities and to understand the work we do. It's a reason to celebrate, because every life saved, or every life that's still here, is a reason to celebrate. But we have to remind ourselves how far we've come. We sometimes have to stop and look back and remember where we were to figure out, and where we are today, and realize the work's never going to be done.
Yeah.
But we have to sometimes stop and take a breath and say, you know what? We have made progress. We're doing better than most people that are in this same situation. And we're going to continue to make progress on the little things and even the big things. You know what I mean? And what do they call it? The Japanese has a term called kaizen. It means continual improvement, right? And that's kind of the focus is, what did you do today to move the needle to make it better? And if we did not, what do we do wrong, and how do we continue to kind of make that progress? Because there are days that, man, you're going to feel more busy than you have been productive.
Sure.
Right. And then but that's the goal. Because when I leave, I do want to be able to figure out that I've left it in a better place, for the next person that comes behind me. And I want them to understand, the love and care, not only by this administration, but also by our city workers that show up every single day to make this happen, because I am only as effective as the people I surround myself with and the people who actually go out and execute the work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're spinning a lot of plates.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things to focus on at once.
Yeah.
I'm dizzy thinking about it.
Yeah.
So to tie it all back in, so when did you take office? What was the first year you were in office?
2020, right in the middle of
2020.
COVID. In the middle, slap in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. Doing this in the last 5 years is pretty incredible. When is the next election term?
Oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about it. 2028.
Okay.
I think, I still got like 2.5 more years.
Okay.
On this term. It just seems to go by so fast. I mean, it really does. And I tell people, like, municipal years are like dog years in the worst way, because I'll tell you, it almost, for 1 year, it almost, like a project you start in 1 year, it almost takes 7 years.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with federal dollars,
you might not
or
see the
state dollars, right? Because there are things I'm cutting ribbon on.
Sure.
That we started in my first term. Simply because, you try to braid funding. I try to take one of your dollars and flip it into 5, right? I use one to leverage federal and state dollars, and then what happens is you're relying on these state dollars, and guess what? They don't have a budget.
Yeah.
Right now it's government shutdown and all of this stuff, and you have to rinse, recycle, repeat all the things that you have to do. But that's why your local dollars matter so much more. That's why that it was so important that our residents renewed that 1% sales tax.
And it did pass.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I voted against it. I just was making sure.
That's okay. You were the one. Okay. You're just like, oh, whatever. It's going to pass. But no. But to be quite honest with you, there actually were people who led an effort to not have it renewed. And
that's
interesting.
It's short-sighted.
It's very short-sighted. And I can understand some of the concerns behind it. But the concerns that were being presented, we literally provide the data to say, here were all the investments. It's all public knowledge. I did everything of like creating poster boards with dots of where the dollars were spent and what the projects were and what we were doing to show that we were responsible stewards of these dollars. And sometimes it doesn't matter. It's just they didn't like my hair that day. And, so, but no matter what you do, there will be some resistance. But I always say it's really not my job to convince them that I'm right. I'm just going to prove you wrong.
Sure.
Right. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and then hopefully one day you'll go, okay, maybe the guy wasn't so crazy after all. Right. Yeah. Maybe these things, because I will tell you. I'm not going to put anybody on blast, but I can tell you that I've been in rooms where we've been in rooms
no one's
where we've been told, your mom,
just my
mom might tell somebody.
She's in for the drama.
We're biting off more than we can chew.
Yeah.
And that you've got too many lofty dreams. Or like, well, I'm sorry that people you've worked with before and or other folks really don't have ambitious goals, because you have to set this. You have to be able to dream big and execute on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mediocrity is not in me. It's not, and I especially in a role this important. You can't tell me there. You may be able to try to tell me why Monroe doesn't deserve passenger rail. You might be able to tell me why Monroe doesn't deserve large-scale projects. So I'll give you a prime example. So we applied for it used to be called RAISE, but now it's called BUILD. And it's a bucket of money that DOTD has out there for projects that deal with transportation. We had a project that started on South 2nd where it intersects Winsboro Road, and it went all the way down South 2nd, and it went in front of the hospital, and it went into downtown and met Desert, right there on Jackson and Desert. So there's a thing called benefit cost analysis, okay? And this is where Monroe and towns like Monroe get kicked in our pants, right? So we applied. It was a $22 million ask and project, and we had significant local match that was passed through city council to match money for this project. It would completely redo the roads, the streets, the places where buses get off, beautiful bus terminals, sidewalks, lighting, bike paths, walking paths, the whole nine. Went in front of the went in front of the hospital. It was going to redo all of that. Benefit cost analysis tells you that it was basically saying, why would we spend $22 million, award this to Monroe that has a population of 47,000 people, when I can take $22 million and I can plop it in the middle of like Baltimore
and serve more people.
People. That's offensive.
Yeah.
Because I could tell you our people are, in fact, more deserving. And because hear me out, because we rarely see those dollars come our way simply because of this. We don't get access to those dollars because we are rural. And you can't tell me our people don't deserve that. And they don't deserve beautiful things to look at when they go home, regardless of where they live in our community, right? And we planted our flag on that. And we went to D.C. and we told the folks at DOTD how we felt about it and said it's unfortunate because this is something, and our council went above and beyond and gave like millions of dollars. We dang near tripled the amount of match money to give ourselves a better footing to say we can execute this. But it's offensive to me because that, number one, they felt we were too ambitious. I'm sorry that you're mediocre.
Yeah.
Our community deserves this type of investment, right? And it's very important to us, and our council made it so important that they dedicated almost $3.5 million of our own local dollars to make this happen. Brought in some of the best engineers into this project and created. It's beautiful. It was a beautiful project, and we were told 2 years in a row no. And I hate it, and I hate the fact that we are in this situation. But that's not going to stop me from listening to our people, listening to their dreams, right? How big they dream, and to go out and secure projects of that magnitude, right? And I think the day that we stop being ambitious is the day that we continue to just coast along, and that's just not in me. We're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to do the things that we need to do.
Yeah. Well, look, I feel a lot of gratitude that there is somebody like you in that seat who is pushing for that, who is constantly striving for all of us and our families to live in a beautiful and like robust place. And I think that's really cool. I think we've talked a lot about the color of the city and and how it feels and the vibe. And I think just like any business or any organization, that trickles down from the top. And I think you exhibit that, and I think you really have done a wonderful job for us here. And
thanks, man.
I just think that's incredible, man.
Yeah,
you've always been super cool. Like I said earlier, you let me roof your house, which was cool. Yeah. And I shamelessly plugged that and business proposals all over the city. And I don't know if it's good or bad.
I know.
Sometimes it probably makes me lose, but most of the time, I think. So it's done well. But look, as someone who's new to the city, I appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and we appreciate you coming. This has been really cool. This is why, honestly, we wanted to create this space, was for exactly this. It was super insightful and allowed me to think about the city and the city works in general through a lens that I've never considered, and that was super cool. So
very good.
Yeah, good deal. Well, look, thank you again for coming out. We appreciate anybody who's listening.
Guys.
Love you, Mom, and that's it. Appreciate you tuning in.
Thanks, guys.